Warea, the genus name is in honor of a South Carolina school teacher and botanist, Nathaniel A. Warea. I don't know very much about him yet. I just found out about him when I read through the book that Roger Hammer has all of those little notes, and I just pulled that off of his book. Amplexifolia means that it's a descriptive term that the leaf is wrapping around the stem. We'll see a picture of that in a moment. It is in the Brassica family. Brassica is the genus of our most familiar mustards, broccoli, the cabbage, all of those in the same genus and species Brassica. Many of them are the same species. And the ACEA is the family name. It used to be crucifer because the flower has a very cross look. It has it's a crisscross. It has a special capsule called a silic. If you want to look at it, we'll see it in a couple of slides. It must be at least 3 times longer than it is wide. Frequently, they poke open and throw their seeds. So there's the amplexifolia part of it where it is wrapping around the leaf. It is also, this plant is sometimes called the wide leaf area. There it is, real close. It doesn't have any of the seed pods. And there's Jim and one of our first presentations of it. It's his work that gave me the inspiration to start working on it when he presented that a few years ago in October. I was enchanted. Thanks. Let me see if I can give you orientation. This is the southern part of the Ocala forest. That's St. John's over there. There's Ocala. Here's Bellevue, where we usually meet. Oops, I'm sorry. Up. Where did I go? Okay, sorry about that. Lake Weir is right here. Here's, let's see, where's 25? There's 25, which is right here in the downtown. So when you take the baseline, you run into 25. I'll just sit it over there. I'm not allowed to do that. So we go over to the Lake Weir area. This is the Chernobyl Memorial Forest. And that one, what we want to do is connect that to the, there's a sunset. This is an area right in here that's right along the Ocklawaha River. And there's a power line right straight through there. And that's where the Warea are growing most. Working with partners, Putnam Land Conservancy, we have identified undeveloped areas of sandhill that, if protected, will preserve a very important wildlife habitat. Population of state and federally endangered plants is predominantly along this natural corridor. It is a huge power line corridor. It's just enormous. Those big, it's just single ones, but it's those big things that look like monsters. It's between the protected land of the forest and St. John's River management of the Chernobyl. This is the second largest population of Class B Warea. It may
Deborah, it's the largest.
I was going to say it may be at this point the largest population.
It's the largest.
Because I couldn't find the new data and I didn't know what the other one looked like, but I thought it was going to be probably the largest.
It is.
There are hopefully still 7 remaining, but this is pretty old data. I don't know. You've got another one down where you are, don't you?
So I think 7 is about right.
Okay.
7 or 8. Yeah, if you don't count like introductions.
Right. Well, introductions are okay if they can maintain themselves, I would think.
Right.
Because it's just a reintroduction is what it really is. Well, I will make a correction on that and say now it is the largest. Largest. I think we've been doing a good job of getting it to go. This is a fairly recent picture. Just sent it to me. This yellow area in here is full of Warea. Everywhere you go, every other population population, and if you look at it under in the Google Maps with the picture, all you have to do is find a white sandy area and go there, and you will find Warea. That's all you have to do, is you have to find a white sandy area. So you can see right here, there's white sandy areas right along in there, that little white spot there, that white spot there. These white spots in sandy area have Warea in them. It's very exciting. The green spots are PLC properties that we've been working on, and I will be seeding that. This is the plot. This is the property that we own as Florida Native Plant People. It's very exciting. We are seeding that, and we're removing some of the bigger trees. It's a slow process. It'll happen. This pink area right here is a private land, and we are studying that. This isn't a good picture of it, but let me see if I can do this without moving it forward. Right here, there is a small power line that makes a right turn there around their property. There it is. You can see it going out. And along that small power line is the population that we've been looking at for the last 3 years. And I don't know what the count was, Juliet. Do you have the count for the last, when we were there?
Memory, around 200.
Yeah.
Or 200 plus. It was a good number.
Yeah. They're growing. I think they're growing as well as I've ever seen, if not better than I've ever seen them growing. They're further around this corner now, and I'm hoping we can get just a little bit further around that corner. And it'd be neat to see them on both sides, but they really do like that afternoon northern break. We're looking for more willing sellers and donors along the power line so that we maybe can get to a threshold place and the state will say, oh, okay, we can take this in. We do have an animal, the sand skink, and I can show you some of the characteristics. I know it's a good guy. It's on my computer, and hopefully it'll do. Oh, I may have to undo. Yep, I do. Here it is though. It's if you have it in your hand, it's about the size of your little finger. This one's a large one. It's about 5-6 inches long, wouldn't you say, Jim? And then you're looking for this track because he's just under the ground there, and he makes this wonderful sigmoid track, which is
There you go.
It's a little bit smaller than 5 or 6 inches, I think.
Okay. All right. Anyway, he's a master at catching them. Whenever you go out with him, you should have a little container so we can take pictures. It's wonderful. He's really good at it. All righty, so I can go back in here. The animals have teeth. So when we find animals, we can find money to preserve this. Plants, I am sorry to say, do not have any teeth at all, and nobody cares, and they just are tearing it up. And then our FP land is there, and I'm so sorry about that part. But there are animals in there, and when Willy and Jim were out there this May or June, they found a new millipede. Not the centipede, that's the toxic one, but the millipede. The millipedes are like our worms. They don't mind sand, and they help they help work it up for the plants. The millipede is a large black millipede that may in fact be something that needs to be studied and is endangered. And so we will have at that point 2. Plus there are tortoises all along there. The gopher tortoise, who is probably threatened at this point because we've been so careful with them, but nevertheless, I think we can use him to help navigate us into that protected area. We do have a grant. We're going to write another one, and I'm writing with Juliet, I hope, on this one. The numbers of these annual plants are flowering, I think they have increased. Although along the power line, I don't see any changes, but the only maintenance that they have out there on the power line is that they get mowed. The area gets mowed, probably every couple months or so, twice a year. How often do they mow out there?
That's a good question, because lately they've just been Herbiciding.
Well, they've herbicided the palmettos, but I haven't seen them just herbiciding everything.
And the palmettos and what they think are trees.
Yeah, they do. They don't know. It's very sad. Anyways, I'm expecting to go back and collect seeds and spread the seeds this fall right away as soon as they're ready, on all of those spots that are the Putnam land and our property, so that we can increase their presence there and help expand it. I'll try to get the seeds from as many areas as I can. Liz Jarrett, my secretary, is probably busy right now because she's going into surgery, but she lives out there in the Warea area, and we've tried a couple of times to get plants on her property, but have not been successful yet. Maybe this year. She's got perfect area. It's just north. And there's the triangle. We're looking at moving that line back a little bit so that the tree line is back just a little bit. You can see the Wareas in the front. Valerie's taking some magnificent pictures, and I had it linked, but I took that link off by accident. And so maybe the next time I'll have those pictures. We'll figure out how to get them in this picture. But we just did a count to see how many there were, and it was over 200. Oops, I'm sorry. This is the near the power line, and that's what, it's a little bit more open. You can see the population of you can see them all along in here. It's a really, really large population. We did not do a count. This is not an official area. But we estimated what, about 200. And this is one of the areas that was really dense. It's a pretty little plant. It doesn't last very long, maybe a month. Why Warea? Well, the Warea amplexifolia, the big leafed Warea or clasping Warea, is an endangered species endemic to Central Florida. That means that when this part of Florida came out of the water, some of these plants came south from Georgia and Alabama, and they got stuck on little islands. And when you're stuck on a little island, you go through many, many, many populations with a very limited genetic pool. And this limited genetic pool caused us to have 4 varieties of this Warea in Florida. There's one here. There's one here down in the Polk County and the down towards this ridge. The Christiani is in Highlands County. And then there's another one down here towards, I don't know where exactly it is. It's along in here somewhere on the coast. It's a coastal one. So these are, endemic means that it developed here, and it's different from anything else that you would ever see. One of the varieties of the Warea does go up into Alabama. That's probably the source of these plants. Just to remind you that the Florida Native Plant Society's mission is to preserve preservation, conservation, and restoration of native plants and native plant communities of Florida. Putnam Land Conservancy's motto is conserving land for people and wildlife. The niches are those small parcels, benefit wildlife and endangered species. That's what they're mostly looking at. It's these smaller areas like what is remaining in Florida that has endangered and unprotected native plants and communities. And here it's the sandhill. Sandhill is special. So if you're new to Florida, the sandhill may look barren, but the plants have really, really deep roots, and they have feeder roots around the area that really stabilize the sand itself. And they're finding at the Archbald, where they do a lot more studies than we have been able to do up here, that there are lichens that stabilize the sand and make it so that the sand is doing what it's supposed to do, separating these plants the way they're supposed to be separated. This is the green lynx. I don't know if I want to try the genus of it. I'm sure I will mess it up. But it is a very popular little spider that we found a lot of areas. This is a nice close-up of this Warea. You can see that it has, look at it, 4 petals. It feels a little not rotated. That is, it doesn't feel like it's evenly around. It feels a little off to the side. And the stigma comes out, and you'll see in the next picture, I believe it's the next one. Oh, here. Yes. And so I caught Valerie doing some of her pictures. When you go to our website, you will see the pictures that she took. My camera on my phone doesn't do justice, but they're not terrible. And I'm sorry I didn't do this in the PowerPoint that is in the Apple, because you would be able to see the movement. But I have caught 3. This is a little moth, and this is the bee with the white. I'll show it to you at the end. Trying to catch the pollinators. The private land that we are seeing, they know about the Warea. They like it. We communicate a lot about what is happening. She's letting us enlarge their area. Management funding right now is from the USFWS partners, the water systems. And it's a longleaf pine habitat that we're pulling the money from, which is exciting. So these are the bees. So here's our American bumblebee. So you're going to see a stripe and yellow. The yellow can be all the way to the end, but it doesn't have a break. This one has a break. The little bee with the white abdomen looks like this one, but I'm not going to take the pictures that I have and maybe catch a couple of them when they're all done pollinating my plants up to the University of Florida and see if we can find out who is pollinating and get another edge on. But the bees do all the pollinating. I just want to introduce you to these hairs that are on all of their legs. These hairs will do just what they see here. Pollen sticks to them. And when the pollen sticks to them, then they can carry it from plant to plant. And that is the end of my story. Do you have any questions?
Deborah, I think Tom Miller could be able to identify your little bee too. You don't have to take it all the way up to the university.
Oh, okay. You think maybe if we ask him something like that, he might be more inspired to be able to do a presentation online?
I don't know.
No, that's just not it.
Okay.
He works with the audience.
Well, so do I, but that's why I have you leave your speakers on.
Still, you can send me the picture and I'll get it to him.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to go catch it because my picture is just, you can't tell. It looks like 5 of these different little bees. But it's about this size. So it's somebody like this one. This one's a mining bee. I don't know if it's going to be that kind of a thing. In the south, there's a bee fly, and I don't see the bee fly on here. So I'm sure that there are other bees. But if I catch one of them and maybe even keep him alive and then return him, we might be able to do it. I've got a little box I can stick him in. But then we'll have one more little chapter of the story. Who's pollinating? All you can see in the later afternoons is the love bugs, and I just don't ever see anything on the love bugs. They don't have any hairs. They just don't look like they could pollinate anything. I think they're just getting nectar.
So,
anything to add, Willy?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Get it?
Well, I was just going to update you on what PLC is doing on our Warea properties.
Oh yeah.
So, and I may have some pictures. Let me see if I can find them. But Jim sent me some great pictures last time we were out there, but I couldn't find them easily. I don't know how to share the pictures. But anyway, so some of our properties have Warea in the open areas where there's no overstory, but in the majority of the parcel has a lot of shaded areas with a lot of leaf litter, and the duff layer is pretty thick. So we've had some contractors go in and thin out the overstory, and so hopefully over time we can keep the overstory down. We'd like to use fire, but it's probably not practical on such a small parcel, and especially some of these parcels are really close to home sites.
Can't hear.
So we'll maybe use
Only
mowing or
sorry.
raking. So they're going to come sometime in October and finish clearing out some of these properties so that more sunlight can get down to the ground cover, and we can start eliminating the duff to let the Warea populations on our properties expand. And at some point, we'll be looking for volunteer help to try to eliminate some of the exotic grasses that are in there. We don't want to herbicide because we fear that we could damage the Warea population. So we'll have to be handpicked and possibly do some raking to open up other areas for the seeds to contact the soil. We did do Deborah had some seeds, and we reseeded some of the properties that PLC has that probably would historically have Warea but didn't currently have any populations. And one site we had I would say really good luck. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of seeds we spread, but we had probably a dozen seedlings come up. And again, Jim got some really good pictures of those, but I unfortunately couldn't find them for tonight's meeting. But in July, they were about, the tallest one might have been about 12 to 16 inches tall. So hopefully they're flowering this year.
Well, and I'll be going back. That's the one that's further south by the pig, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have the address to that one. Julia just sent me all the parcel numbers so I can go through the addresses better. I know how to get from parcel numbers to addresses, and so I can do that and have the address on my phone and go to that one. There was another parcel that was yours that was on one of those circle rounds. It was right off of Bay Street, and it did have Warea on it before, and it had more Warea on it. We figured this time, I think we figured it had a couple of hundred, maybe 250 plants on it. It was very exciting.
Did I not send I thought I sent everybody the update. So the very first parcel that you acquired, and then the other one that Deborah's talking about, outstanding Warea occurrence. And we really noticed a difference. That very first parcel that you acquired, you've done the thinning of the canopy. We noticed that the Warea was farther back.
Oh yeah.
Than it used to be.
Yeah,
So yeah, that made a definite difference.
Oh, good. And I gotta mention the state chapter, or the state Native Plant Society, because we received a conservation grant from them in order to do this work on our Warea properties. So we're extremely grateful for that assistance. Otherwise, it would be a while before we could have the funding to do it. So it was going a long way to expand the Warea's territory on our properties.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
So if anybody wants to collect seeds with me, email me and I will let you know when I'm going. It probably will be near the end of October. I'll probably go down and see Liz and check and see how the seeds are going, and somewhere in the end of October into the middle of November, the seeds are available, and some of them are ready to be harvested. I may bag some when I go back.
I was going to ask about that, because when I participated in your effort a number of years ago, we put little bags around it, and when you last worked on them, you did not, or what happened there?
I did last last year I don't think I collected. It didn't work out. But the year before that, I bagged them, and the seeds are so tiny. They're less than probably a 0.2 of a millimeter. So
Oh my
the
gosh.
finest pencil that I write with is a 0.5 millimeters. So it's pretty little.
Yeah.
They're littler than that. So you have to have a bag, and those net bags.
Big. Half a centimeter.
Well, a millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter. So if you've got one of these, a pencil like this, mine writes with a 0.5 millimeter tip.
Yeah.
And so what I used to have my kids do is write that, make a little circle like that. That's the size of the human egg. Well, the size of the Warea seeds is about 1/2 to 1/4 of that size.
You really need your glasses when you're up in
Well,
age.
you need your glasses when you're out there. But I put them all in bags. They hang out, and then I just take the bag over and I flip out the bag. I may put them in the. We're checking out the seed bombs. We put the Asclepias hemistrata in some seed bombs. The seed bombs were still there when we checked out the our own property. We'll see. I don't know. Anything else? What else do we need to update? I think that kind of gives you a feeling of what we're doing and how much fun we're having to do it. This is a labor of love. This is what I want to be doing all the time.
Not in the heat, preferably.
Oh, I don't care.
That's Florida.
It's Florida. I'm an old Florida girl. I know how to do the heat. I don't mind. I just get out there.
That was my first experience last Monday, and it was a beautiful morning, and the sun it was overcast, and I was amazed. I mean, we had to sit on the ground and count those little bitty stems, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh,
I was
good.
sorry
I'm
I
glad you
couldn't
loved
stay
it.
the whole time.
Well, and they
like
got
it
to see
too.
the scrub jays. We're in a scrub there.
And
That
the
scrub is
girls
being
were
developed.
great. Everybody.
Oh,
Yeah, they were fussing at us.
oh yeah.
We didn't see too many of those.
But they saw
But
us.
that's okay.
The sentinel was sitting
Yeah.
up in the tree fussing and letting everybody know that we were there.
Yeah.
Oh, how sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, and the drive down from
Yeah.
we're not going to do that entry again, but the drive down from there, though treacherous, was full of scrub jays. The road all the way to the farthest north entry gate
Really.
is not very cleared.
No, it was a lot better from 103rd.
Yes, 103rd is fine, and that's
Yeah.
probably what we'll do from now on. But it was neat to see all the birds, so I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anything else that's going on? Everybody's staying healthy.
Yep.
Yep, we're doing what we can.
Yes. Well, I hate to be the bearer of interesting news, but this is kind of how it's going to be forever. Until the population gets a
Oh,
little bit
boy.
smaller.
For a
and we
year
don't
at
have
least.
So many people.
Yeah, we're of the age that we need to consider that.
Yeah.
Hmm?
So I have a question for Willy. It looks like you guys acquired another property in the Warea area down at the south end. Is that right?
Let's see. Are you seeing it on the map there?
Well, so Deborah asked me for the coordinates, and my Google Maps wasn't working all of a sudden, so I pulled it up on the Marion County Assessor site, and it looked like you had a couple extra properties down there that were new from the last, 2 years or so.
Yeah, the last one we received, and I think it was maybe earlier this year, was
Mhm.
from Conservation Florida.
Right.
That's the one that's way down south there.
Is that
that-
the last one you acquired?
I'm pretty sure. I may not be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the last one we acquired there.
Okay.
And that was nice. From what I understand, somehow Valerie had gone to look at it for him.
No, I think that
Someone pointed
Valerie
out-
sent me and I sent her pictures and it's got Warea all around it.
Yeah. So Conservation
they-
Florida was gonna surplus the property because they didn't have a use for a property that small, and then somehow they got clued in that it actually could be an important conservation piece, and they were really excited about that and donated it to Putnam Land Conservancy.
Awesome.
Well, I now have the address. I tried to find it just by remembering, and that was that's not the area you remember.
Yeah, we got a little lost down there trying to look for it.
It's a very complicated arrangement.
Yeah, don't try to navigate it without GPS. It's all the streets are named very, very
The same.
closely.
Yeah.
About 100 guava
Exactly.
streets.
Yeah. And Google Maps, I guess they updated and lost all of my labels. So we were like driving blind down there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, I remembered some of them, and some of them I could just put the pin on because I knew where it was. I just didn't know how to get there. But I didn't get that far. The southern one, they didn't get to see that one, but they will next time. Yeah, Valerie gave me the address for that one and asked for pictures. And I got there just as the sun was starting to set. It's a complicated area. It's kind
It
of neat
is.
though.
Yeah. So, Deborah, were you telling me that you thought this year might be a extraordinary year for the area blooming, like more so
I
than
think it's
normal?
as good as last year. I think was a lower year. I think that the water was better this year, like it was the year before last, which was the first time I had seen Warea.
Yeah. So it's a good time to go check it out if
It
anybody's
is a good
interested.
time.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Judy was just reminding me that one of the things that our organization is doing, and anybody that wants to help me can, I'm putting a native garden together over at Tuscaloosa. I have been given large rocks to make a waterway, and I was practically given a pond by Touch of Paradise. Thank you to them. And the waterworks for the fountain are going to be courtesy of the Ocala, the people that do all of the maintenance in the Ocala. They're going to do all the water and hook up the electric and everything so that we have a little water site so I can have some of the water plants there, and it goes out into the dry part. So it'll go out to mostly heath. I'm going to do little blueberries and things. Try to keep it real tidy looking.
What happened to the project at the water reclamation?
Awesome.
They are open,
Yeah.
and my daughter
Tell me. 'Cause
works
I was
around the
there-
corner from
I
them.
was there Sunday. It looked like nothing.
I know. Well, the idea to do things in the
Yes.
front got dropped.
Right.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't apparently any money for it,
Yeah.
and we didn't have any money. Oh, sorry about that.
Do we have any money?
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Well, we have some money, but I didn't, I thought they were gonna do the funding for that.
Yeah, it's
because
a
they had
city
a-
project. You would
Yeah.
think the city can,
That's gonna
Give some
cost a
money
lot
for
of money.
It wasn't,
If
it's not
money
very
will fix
expensive.
it.
Well, I'm
If
actually,
money will fix it because they spend a lot.
I think that they have enough natives out there that it'll pull itself together. They did have to change the live oaks, which they had to weeping yopons, which is a better plant there. When I saw that they had white oaks in the driveway on the parking lot, I thought that was not going to work. They don't like to have their roots trampled on. So when they moved it over to being the yopons like they have over at Silver Springs parking lot in the back there by the museum, they're hardier and able to take that driving. So that'll be a better plan. It'll get bigger. It'll be pretty. I didn't look all the way around it. I was just hanging out with my daughter for lunch. I took her some tacos and gave her a lunch break. So we went there, but they didn't do anything in the front around the sign. Although I have a lot of seeds of things that they throw around there to let come in. They'll do better if they get seeded anyways. I think some gallberries and some other things like that. Some huckleberries would be great. They won't notice if they're right next to the legs.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Well, I have them growing in my yard. As soon as they get to seed, I'll just throw some out there. Use that. Oh, we are.
I have some beauty
project and I-
berries that Otto won't let me have
What's that?
in my garden.
Beauty
What's that?
berries.
Oh yeah, well that gets to be big.
Yeah.
It's an aggressive plant that gets big. I don't want to deal with plants that you have to manage their growth rate. So I like the heaths and the little
Mhm.
huckleberries. They grow slowly. You don't have to manage them.
Well, maybe you could reach out to them again since they don't have money and ask them if they
Yeah.
want some freebies
Yeah, we can do that.
that we would, if we have
Yeah.
seeds and we'll plant them and, maybe they'll.
Audubon
agree
has
to-
had a lot more connections, and I haven't gotten back together again with my Audubon connections yet this year. COVID has made things a little bit tough. They've been having really, really tiny little groups, and that's the way you should do it. You should have a little bubble that
Yeah.
goes out on views. No, they're not. I eat beauty. I'm still alive.
Asking about beauty berries.
Yeah.
No, they're not toxic. to
No,
humans.
they make jelly out of beauty berries. It's
Humans make jelly out of beauty
yeah,
berries.
yeah, they're not toxic.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Oh yeah,
They're not toxic.
no, beauty berries are not toxic. Some taste better than others, and they taste best right now when they're real right. So if you keep tasting them, you might find one that's really good. It's kind of how you find good apples. You just keep push.
Okay.
So far, I haven't found any that are really.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they they're
I
hardy.
It's the sugar that makes the jelly.
Well,
They don't have much flavor. And
No, they don't.
I've never found any particular individuals that had a better flavor than others. But if you put enough sugar with anything
too.
to make a
Actually,
jelly
all
and
you have-
jam out of,
all you have to do is put in a different berry with
it
it.
doesn't matter how it tastes, just about.
If you put white grapes in there, it won't mess up the color, and it'll give you a grape flavor, which is not good.
That's the main reason I think that they use beauty berries for jelly is because of the color
Oh yeah,
They-
definitely.
yeah.
The color is beautiful.
imbued to the
And so
the jelly.
having a grape flavored jelly, if you use the white grapes, you're not going to kill the
Gorgeous.
color.
So maybe that's how beauty berries need to be used, is just as a coloring agent for other foods that
Absolutely.
don't have any.
Yeah. So did I cover everything, Jim? Is there something else you were thinking of that we needed to think about?
I don't want to mention things that I should be doing myself and I'm not. But it's the primary thing is we need to work on land acquisition in the
Well,
Warea
and I told
area.
Juliet about the property that you mentioned that was for sale. She's gonna look at that, see what we can do.
Yeah, Willie, are you still there?
Yes.
That's the piece that we saw the millipedes on.
Yeah.
And it belongs to one of the people who have donated to the Putnam Conservancy before.
Yeah. I don't recall the name right now, and unfortunately, I haven't contacted them yet, but it's on my short list.
Yeah, we really, and I can't fault you because I'm just as bad about
Yeah.
following up on these things, and we really should encourage each other to be more proactive because some of these may fall through the cracks if we aren't more diligent about it.
Yeah, it's been on the forefront of my mind, and I'm not using this as an excuse, but October, November is a really good time to approach people for donating land because that's when the tax bills come out, and they might be thinking about, hey, this land is just costing money, and there may not be, receiving a return on it anytime in the
And this is probably a
foreseeable
really good year
future.
for that. Well, and Jim, I wanted to tell you that your meeting in October of, I guess it was 17, was the first meeting that I went to with Marion Big Scrub, and your talk inspired me to pick up various plants I looked at and played with.
Well, we appreciate your efforts and everyone else's too towards this. It's a long-term project, but if we keep picking at it a little piece at a time, it'll eventually get put together, not in our lifetimes, but in somebody's. So we need to just keep working on it.
Yeah.
And that guy's name is like Gasper Lupa or something.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So anyway, we need to pursue him, and you need to. I'll remind you, we need those photos to award to these folks who've donated these lots that have pictures of Warea. We ought to invite them. In spite of COVID, we can all wear masks. We ought to invite them while it's blooming to go see it.
Yeah.
this is the time.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
This is the time right now.
Well, the gentleman next to the one property that you've been working on remembered what Warea looked like. He didn't speak real highly of it, but he remembered it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm glad that he has an interest in it in some sort of way.
Yeah. Well, he remembered it. Yeah.
Then it'll be cheap. It'll be cheap to buy.
Yeah, we might be in the best time that we could ever be in right now because people have not been doing normal work and getting normal pay. So could very well be a good time.
Still a lot of development out there, though.
Too much.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and people are leaving the coast, and so before the coast gets too much worse, we need to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can't imagine living under that power line. I would think that would
Good
be
point.
one of the things we could do.
That's one reason why it was attractive to us for the
Oh yeah. Well,
corridor.
and the power company mows it at least once a year, which might be all they have to do. Could be just
I
once a
don't
year.
know I don't know whether they do or not.
They we caught them herbiciding. We stopped them. We had to go running after them. They were herbiciding palmettos and trees, what they thought were trees, and I think they're relying more on that lately than mowing, because the whole idea is to save money and just to hit the woody vegetation that allegedly gets taller than 13 feet. But we know palmettos don't get that tall.
Yeah.
Generally.
but they see that palmetto leaf and they don't know which one's which.
I mean, yeah, and like none of the guys that are spraying speak English. They're
No.
working for a contractor who's subbing for the energy company. So yeah, nobody sends them out there with directions, really.
Big sign that says, "Leave me alone."
I know.
Speaking of signs, are there any